Hello, my name is Brian Connelly. I'm a professor of strategy at Auburn University and editor of the Journal of Management. As I share with you today a little about the journal, I'm reminded of one of Auburn's most famous graduates, Octavia Spencer. Perhaps you saw her in one of her appearances on CSI or The Big Bang Theory, or in one of her big hits in the movies The Help or Hidden Figures. In fact, Octavia Spencer is the Academy's most nominated black actress of all time. Today, by any measure, Octavia Spencer is on Hollywood's A-list. Like Octavia, the Journal of Management had its origins in part right here at Auburn University. We also had some big hits along the way. Maybe you've heard of Jay Barney's article on resources or Podsakoff and Organ's article on self-reports. Well, today, by any measure, we're on management's A-list. Let me share with you just a brief glimpse of the rich history of editorial leadership that brought us here. I take over the journal from David Allen at TCU, whom you likely know, and before him were some tremendous leaders in Pat Wright, Deb Rupp, Talia Bauer, and many other outstanding scholars. As we look back a little further, though, notice that you have to go back to Dan Dalton at Indiana University in 1993 to find the last time the Journal of Management had a strategy researcher at the helm. So this is something a little new for the journal. You can also see that the second editor was Art Bedian here at Auburn University back in the late 1970s. Now the journal has found its way back to Auburn, but a few things have changed around here. We're now the Harbert College of Business at Auburn University with a large financial endowment, 2 beautiful new buildings, new faculty, new doctoral programs, and I think a great host institution for the journal. You may know that the Journal of Management is owned by the Southern Management Association, or SMA, which is a regional affiliate of the Academy of Management. If you've not been to the SMA conference, you should. I'll tell you, these are good people, and they put on an amazing conference every year, always in great places. It's led by a great team in Hetty Richardson, Janaki Goody, Lisa Lambert, and Russell Crook, wonderful scholars and wonderful people. Let's look at what we're seeing at the Journal of Management today. To begin, you might be curious to know how many submissions we get to the journal. In the past year, we had over 1,200 submissions. About 40 of those are coming from authors in North America. We're also seeing about 20% from Europe, another 20% from India and Asia, which includes quite a few from Hong Kong, 10% from Southeast Asia, largely from Singapore and Australia, and the remaining 10% from other countries, including Latin America. So the journal has a wide global footprint. You might also want to know how tough it is to get into the Journal of Management. Well, in a word, is tough. Most submissions are rejected. In fact, we're looking at an acceptance rate hovering around 6, maybe 7%. There's not really any way to sugarcoat that. We're an elite management journal, and we only take the best of the best. So frankly, I don't see that changing much in the years ahead. On the flip side, articles published in the Journal of Management are hugely important to the field. One way to look at that is through the impact factor, which is the average number of citations that articles receive. The impact factor for JOM is 8.8. To put that in context, it's one of the highest impact factors among management journals, and that ranking is not much different if you look just at regular articles or just at review articles. There are a lot of other metrics people use to try to evaluate journals empirically, and JOM fares well on all of them. For example, Google Scholar has the H5 index, which says the journal has published H articles in the previous 5 years that have H citations each. And here JOM is the #1 management journal with the Academy of Management journal right behind. For those who really understand their bibliometrics, you may want to know that JOM's eigenfactor score is the second highest in management, this time right behind the Academy of Management journal. And lastly, our immediacy index is 3.0, which is again second best in management. And this means that articles are published quickly and have an immediate impact on the field. Some of you have asked, by the way, how long it takes for a Journal of Management article to go from being accepted to to being in print? And the answer, firstly, is that it's available online immediately after the proofs are completed, and it appears in print, on average, about 1 year later. This time used to be longer, but we corrected that, so now you see your articles sooner. Those are the numbers, and you can see JOM is doing great. But I think what's even more telling is some of the qualitative assessments of our journal. You know, I received an email a few days ago from a colleague at a Big Ten school, and this person said, "Hey, I just want you to know that the Journal of Management is on our list, and we're really excited about the direction the journal is headed." Those are the emails that get me fired up about the future of this journal. Look at the journal rankings that we have available now. One of the big ones is the FT50, which is the Financial Times ranking of the top 50 journals in business, and JOM is one of them. Well, this should not be surprising because the Chartered Association of Business Schools in London ranks JOM as an A star, which is their highest category of journal. The same is true of the Erasmus list, the ABDC journals in Australia, and a host of other journal rankings. Put simply, JOM is an A+ journal. Now let me tell you about who's going to be taking the reins of this journal. It is truly a world-class editorial team. Here are a few things about these people that you want to know. First, every one of them has published in the Journal of Management. These people know the journal. They know what you're trying to accomplish, and they have been in your shoes. Second, every one of them is a highly accomplished scholar. On average, they have 15 publications each in top-tier management journals. I'm talking about publications in the top 5 or 6 management journals. You know how many people have publications, 15 of these publications in these journals? Not many, but 18 of them are editors at the Journal of Management. This is important because you know when you submit an article to the Journal of Management, it's going to be handled by an expert. Third, every one of them is a rising star. This was not an accident. I calculated the publication trajectory of every active publishing management scholar in the world, even you. And I surrounded myself with the people that had the fastest rising trajectories. You know what I like to call them? The next generation of thought leaders in the academy. You want to watch these people because they are not just taking the Journal of Management to the next level, they're taking the whole field with them. And the fourth thing is that these are good people. I know them all personally, and it is a privilege to count them as my friend. Their scores as reviewers are through the roof. They are diligent, conscientious, and they are going to provide you with knowledgeable and fair decision letters. If your paper goes under review at JOM, it's likely to go to one of our 3 senior associate editors. These are Chris Byron for methods, Zeki Simsek for macro and entrepreneurship papers, and Chad Van Eideking for micro papers. The senior AE assigns the paper to one of our associate editors. For micro papers, this might be Mark Bolino of the University of Oklahoma, Rebecca Greenbaum from my alma mater, Rutgers University, Jason Huang from Michigan State, Ning Lee from the University of Iowa, Christopher Rosen at Arkansas, Pauline Schilpsand at Oregon State, Rachia Hue Wu at the University of Leeds. For macro and entrepreneurship papers, it could be Jim Combs at the University of Central Florida, Gokhan Ertug at Singapore Management University, Percy Huggins at Erasmus, Aaron Hill, University of Florida, Ryan Krause at TCU, Sally Lee, University of South Carolina, Toya Miller at UT Dallas, or Taeying Yu at Boston College. We're also introducing a new role to the journal in the form of consulting editors. We're especially privileged to have Dave Ketchen from here at Auburn University and Rob Ployhart from the University of South Carolina serving in these important roles. And also Stro Prothro will be continuing as managing editor for the journal. Now I want to take a moment to turn to a few of your emails, which I think will give you a good idea of some of the things we're looking for at JOM. This email is from a scholar at a prestigious university in Singapore. Brian, does the Journal of Management at the moment review conceptual papers submitted as full manuscripts? The answer is yes. We want your theory papers. I'm not just talking about reviews of theories for our annual review issue, but rather conceptual papers submitted as via the regular submission process. Absolutely, we want them. This email is from a researcher at Notre Dame who asks, Brian, is there still an appetite at JOM for methods papers that offer practical implications, meaning guidance for what researchers can actually do with the information? The answer here is another big yes. Those papers are highly cited and often serve as the bedrock for our field, so we certainly want to publish them. Chris Byron, who's the officer in the officer track at the Academy of Management's Research Methods Division, will be the senior AE for those papers. Another email, a researcher in the UK asks this, does JOM want to publish qualitative papers? My response to them was absolutely, we want them. Now I have to admit that we've not received a lot of qualitative papers in the past, but several AEs on our team, such as Chris and Percy and others, have published qualitative work and are well versed in this methodology. So I would love to see those submissions increase. This email came in from an entrepreneurship researcher. Brian, the fact that JOM is pushing towards more entrepreneurship AEs shows strong self-awareness. Thank you. This is critical. Several of our AEs are well established in that field, including, of course, Jim Combs and Toya Miller. And you'll notice a subtle shift in our editorial review board, where we also added a large number of top entrepreneurship scholars to review your work. We want your entrepreneurship papers. Lastly, I received this email from a researcher at Clemson University. Brian, can you tell me what the plans are for special issues at the Journal of Management? Well, let me tell you quickly about some of the special topics we have appearing in the journal in the days ahead. One of the things I am most energized about is a 30-year retrospective on the resource-based view of the firm. You're going to see articles by Paul Beamish, Ron Burt, Ming-Jur Chen, Kathleen Eisenhart, Jerry Davis, Ed Freeman, Barry Gerhardt, Christina Gibson, Henrik Greve, Anita McGann, Danny Miller, Rob Ployhart, Jason Shaw, Shaker Zara. It's going to be very exciting. Another special issue that we have is on what we call invisible inequalities. These are hidden differences among individuals in the workplace. You can look for a call for papers coming out on that in the days ahead. We also have some truly stellar editorial commentaries on the horizon. The Journal of Management is joining with the academic community to figure out some lessons learned from the COVID pandemic. You'll see commentaries on that topic by Nikolai Foss, Jason Shaw, Dave Ketchen, among others. And one other email, I also want to congratulate Rachel Sturm and John Antonakis on receiving this year's JOM Scholarly Impact Award for their paper on interpersonal power. The Scholarly Impact Award considers papers published 5 years earlier, so in this case, they'd be papers published in 2015. We look at the extent to which the article changed our way of thinking, how the article added to what we know, and the reach that the article has had in terms of affecting work in the field. So congratulations to Rachel and John on your fine work, and you can read more about the Scholarly Impact Award on the Southern Management Association website or the Journal of Management Association website. Let me close by telling you about another one of our Auburn University graduates, Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple. Tim took over at Apple about 10 years ago. Apple stock at the time was doing well. The company was part of the S&P 500. But Apple wasn't just great, it was getting better. They swung for the fences and offered a great product. If you bought $100 of Apple stock when Tim Cook arrived on the scene, you'd have over $1,000 today. I like to think we here at the Journal of Management have a little bit of Apple DNA in us. We're in a great position, but we're still swinging for the fences, and our stock is rising. I'm excited to see the work that you submit to JOM in the years ahead, and I'm thrilled about where this journal is heading.